America just locked out 3 Chinese EVs that Canadian buyers will be able to order in 2026. The same cars are lining up for Canadian dealerships while they're effectively banned south of the border. The difference isn't technology or safety standards, it's pure tariff math. Canada opened a 6.1% door, and America slammed it with a 100% wall. Follow the money and it leads straight to what you'll actually be able to buy next year and at what price. North America used to move as one block on Chinese auto imports. That changed in January 2026 because the US doubled down on protectionism while Canada cut a deal with Beijing that opened a door America had already nailed shut on the same products. Section 301 tariffs plus additional duties pushed the effective US rate on Chinese EVs past 100%. A $40,000 EV lands at over $80,000 once it clears customs. That isn't a market entry strategy, it's a wall. Canada struck an agreement with Beijing that created a 49,000 unit annual quota at a tariff rate of 6.1%. The same vehicle lands at roughly 42,500 in Canada. That gap, about 17 times wider on the American side, is the whole story. It isn't safety standards and it isn't build quality. It's pure math, and the math is sending cars north. And if you're planning to buy an EV in the next 18 months, that math has your name on it. Zeekr is already posting 7 Toronto-based senior roles covering sales, marketing, legal, and dealer development. BYD, Chery, and Geely networks are scouting dealerships across Ontario and British Columbia. The cars are coming, and they're bringing a pricing structure that legacy brands have never faced in this market. But the quota is small, 49,000 units against roughly 1.6 million total Canadian auto sales means this starts as a trickle, not a flood. It's a toehold, not an invasion. And that makes the early positioning even more important for the brands that get in first. XPeng is done copying Tesla. The P7 Plus proves they want to outthink them instead. This is a sleek fastback sedan stretching about 5 meters long with a drag coefficient around 0.22. That's hyper-efficient territory, and the body cuts through air almost as cleanly as anything on the road today. Inside, the cabin is clean and minimal. There is no clutter and no buttons screaming at you. A huge central screen pairs with a digital readout, and the voice control runs deep. You can handle navigation, climate, windows, and driving modes without touching anything, and it actually responds fast. That is not like the laggy systems in older luxury cars. But the real story is the ADAS stack. XPeng built this car around smart driving, not just straight-line speed. Highway navigation assist, lane centering, adaptive cruise, and their own autonomous driving software are standard. In China, they've been pushing this tech hard, and Canada could become their next testing ground outside the home market. And that same smart driving stack is exactly why US security rules won't let this car across the southern border. All-wheel drive versions with 2 motors push roughly 450 to 500 plus horsepower. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour happens in about 3.9 to 4.5 seconds, depending on trim. Range lands somewhere between 550 to 700 kilometers, depending on battery configuration, which makes it extremely useful for long Canadian highway routes. Here's why America isn't getting it. Rising US tariffs and security rules block Chinese EV makers from entering the world's second-largest auto market. XPeng stated publicly they would love to come to the US. The policy won't let them. In Canada, the math is completely different. At 6.1% tariff, the P7 Plus could land slightly under BMW or Tesla pricing for similar spec. That shifts the judgment from whether this car is good to whether legacy brands can justify their higher prices for lower tech. And that is exactly the comparison legacy sedan makers don't want Canadian buyers making in 2026. Zeekr is quietly becoming a global problem for BMW, Audi, and Mercedes. The 001 is the weapon they built to prove it. This car is built on Geely's SEA platform, the same engineering group behind Volvo and Polestar. That already tells you the platform isn't some budget experiment. It's China going full premium with zero apologies. The exterior is massive in real life, nearly 4,970 millimeters long and about 1,999 millimeters wide. It sits low and wide like a performance shooting brake. You've got a coupe-like roofline, frameless doors, flush handles, and full-width LED light bars at both front and rear. The drag coefficient sits around 0.23, slippery enough to compete with the Tesla Model S on highway efficiency and stability above 120 kilometers per hour. Open the door and it instantly feels like a luxury lounge. Soft touch materials are everywhere, with real Nappa leather in higher trims and ambient lighting that wraps around the cabin. The center screen is a 15.4-inch floating display paired with a digital driver cluster and a high-resolution AR head-up display that projects navigation right onto the road. Space is another weapon here. Because it's a dedicated EV platform, the floor is flat, so rear passengers get limousine-style legroom. You can stretch out properly in the back, unlike some premium European sedans that still feel tight. Higher trims add heated and ventilated seats, massage functions, and a panoramic glass roof that makes the cabin feel even bigger. The sound system is tuned by Yamaha and pushes around 1,000 watts depending on configuration. Now for performance, because this is where the 001 stops being a luxury cruiser and becomes a silent missile. The dual-motor all-wheel drive setup pushes up to 544 horsepower and around 686 newton-meters of torque. It hits 100 kilometers per hour in roughly 3.8 seconds in performance variants. Think about that for a second. This is a heavy luxury shooting brake, not a supercar, yet it launches like an entry-level Porsche 911. And because it's electric, that power is instant. No turbo lag, no gear delay, just full torque the moment you touch the pedal. Range is also competitive, sitting roughly at 600 kilometers under CLTC, which would realistically land lower in Canadian highway conditions, but still very strong for long-distance driving. In China, the 001 starts way lower than European rivals. If Zeekr positions it correctly in Canada, it could undercut cars like the BMW i5 Touring or Audi e-tron GT, while offering more features and similar performance. In the US, at over 100% tariff, this car never lands at a competitive price. So Zeekr posted those Toronto rolls and started building a Canadian network. That's where the math works. The ET5 is the quietest looking car on this list, but it might be the most dangerous one for legacy brands. It's a mid-size electric sedan, around 4,790 millimeters long, with a low stance, wide shoulders, and a coupe-inspired roofline. The front carries NIO's signature split headlight design, with sharp LED daytime running lights up top and main beams lower in the bumper. The rear is clean, with a full-width light bar that makes it instantly recognizable at night. Compared to a BMW i4 or Tesla Model 3, the ET5 looks more refined and less aggressive. It whispers luxury instead of shouting it. Inside, you find a soft, minimal, and calming space. Premium finishes cover nearly every surface, from soft leather to suede-like textures, with ambient lighting that feels more hotel lounge than tech lab. But NIO's real signature is Nomi. The little digital character sits on the dashboard and reacts to voice commands, turns its face towards speakers, and interacts with passengers. It seems gimmicky until you actually use it. Then it starts feeling weirdly natural. A large vertical screen dominates the dash, paired with a clean digital driver display. Climate, driving modes, navigation, and media are all software controlled. Very Tesla-like in philosophy, but more emotionally designed. The flat floor gives rear passengers good legroom, and the seats are built for comfort on long highway drives, not just short city runs. Performance comes from both single and dual motor configurations. The dual motor version pushes around 480 horsepower and roughly 700 Newton meters of torque, which launches it to 100 kilometers per hour in about 4.0 seconds. And yes, it's instant. No delay, just that electric punch that pushes you back into the seat. But what makes NIO different isn't just speed, it's the battery strategy. Instead of only fast charging, NIO offers battery swap technology. You pull into a swap station and a depleted battery comes out. A full one goes in just a few minutes. That's something even Tesla hasn't fully rolled out globally at scale. Range comes in at roughly 500 to 600 plus kilometers based on which battery pack you choose. In Canada, if NIO prices the ET5 aggressively, it goes straight against the Tesla Model 3 performance, the BMW i4, and even entry-level Mercedes EQE models. But the ET5 doesn't compete on speed or tech specs alone. It competes on experience. It feels calmer and more premium in a subtle way, more executive EV than tech gadget. So what does this actually mean for you? Zoom out, and these three cars aren't just new EVs coming to Canada. They're a direct challenge to the entire German and American luxury EV system. While legacy brands are still adjusting pricing and wrestling with software, China is coming in with more features, faster tech cycles, and aggressive performance numbers that feel almost unfair for the money. The 49,000 unit quota keeps the initial volume small, more of a ripple than a wave. But quotas can expand, and once Canadian buyers see what $40,000 to $50,000 buys from Zeekr, XPeng, or NIO, the question for legacy dealers gets uncomfortable fast. On the American side of the border, buyers are already envious. The cars exist, and the technology is already proven. A tariff wall is the only thing keeping them out, and that wall has nothing to do with quality. So the real issue isn't whether these three are good enough. It's whether the policy gap stays open long enough for Canadian buyers to form habits that legacy brands can't reverse. Because the next 12 months will decide whether that discomfort turns into panic on the dealership floor. Keep watching this space. This isn't the last shift we'll see at the border. If you don't want to miss any EV updates, subscribe to our channel, EV Frontier. And before you do, make sure to like this video. Thanks for watching.